my fellow Dust Dwellers, and of course all other forms of being. My name is Urbanspook, and I'm coming back at you with a video that I genuinely didn't think I'd be making. If you're new here, a while back I made a video covering Urbanspook. I'd recommend watching that video, but long story short, I had a pretty big distaste of the series, but I saw a smidge of potential in it when reviewing the more recent entries. So what's the point of this video, you may ask? I mean, you read the title, didn't you? Why would you click on it if you didn't know what it was about? It's because Urbanspook decided to show his funny little face again and drop a new entry of the painter. Oh boy, I remember seeing a video about it on my YouTube recommended page, and I had to do a double take because I genuinely thought I wouldn't have to see his videos again, but here we are. The YouTube gods have spoken, meaning I have to delay my Animal Crossing video for this. Fuck me, I guess. Before I say anything though, I would like to remind the viewers that this is not about Urbanspook himself. I already briefly mentioned what I think of him as a person in my last video, and while my opinion stays mostly the same, I do believe that they have the ability to change from a piss baby to a pretty decent human being. That being said though, please do not go out and harass the guy. I'm sure they had a whole crowd of people blowing smoke up their ass, and the last thing I want is to escalate anything or start drama. This is just my silly personal opinion. But Urbanspook, if you're watching this, I'll take you up on that DVD comment, just DM me, I can handle it. I also want to give my usual content warning disclaimer, and while we're going to be looking at one video here, if you plan on watching this series for yourself, be aware that it includes themes of towards adults and those under the age of consent, murder, and of course, lots of gore. This video in particular includes gore and implied themes of If you need to click off this video for any of these reasons, I completely understand. Please take care of yourself, and hopefully you can find a better video of mine to watch and or listen to. With all that out of the way, let's get right into the newly dropped episode of The Painter. This new episode is simply titled Hell. It was released October 31st, the day of the Festival of Horror. Fitting, I love a good planned release on Halloween. The video begins with a well-needed disclaimer. What follows is text telling us that the police received an anonymous tip about trespassers in the abandoned paint factory. But instead of the police going directly inside to see what's up, they go inside this workshop that's apparently right outside the factory? Okay, sure, buddy. Inside, they discover numerous remains from different victims, both from ones we've seen before and ones that are completely unknown. Accompanying this is some genuinely cool visuals showing what appears to be a police point of view shot. As I said in my last video, the last entries in the series seem extremely promising, with it upping its budget, and this entirely blows every episode up until meat out of the water. Back to the video, the police then find a downstairs area inside the workshop, which the police had dubbed the cage room. Why the fuck are the police naming these rooms? Are they fucking high? They note that the room appeared to have been lived in. They find missing remains of known victims, a body of an unknown victim, and some pictures, which look like this. Someone was letting their freak flag wave, am I right, guys? I mean, they have to be, considering they pissed in a bowl on the floor, own a bucket containing several severed male genitalia by the bed, and the missing remains of Corey and Margaret Beck who were sewn together. You know what, maybe I should just cease to exist. The police then finally go into the factory where more insane shit was found. 2 bodies hanging from the same rope in the locker room, several gruesome paintings in the paint room, including one that was unfinished. Most of them are actually unknown, with only a couple being linked to the victims. The paintings include Emma's Last Smile, Bloated Betty, Stone Loop, Mark the Machine, Milk Teeth Heath, the Collins, and the previously untitled painting. They also found the missing Jones family in the next room, and them having a chain dragged through their bodies, and 4 of them being in different stage of decomposition and hung up from the ceiling. Holy fuck. I'll be honest, this is one of the most metal deaths I think I've ever seen, and yes, we actually do get to see it because there's more point of view footage. I'm not even gonna lie, even with all the gore and the mention of Corey and Margaret, I am enjoying this, strangely enough. Then they head to the basement, where more bodies are discovered that had been partially eaten. Add cannibalism to the list of crimes. Oh hey, I got a bingo on my crime bingo sheet. They also find their colleague, Sarah Stone, and her husband with their mouths sewn to each other's rectal openings and rocks being found in their digestive system. Guess we know who's in the Stone Loop painting now. They then go even deeper, leading them to enter the sewer system, where they discover writing on the walls with it saying, "Once you've been in hell, you never come back." I also want to point this out, but When we get to this part, the music swells up and calls back to the tune in the video entry before this one, known as Meat. And I'll be honest, I got giddy at this callback because that track happened to be one of my favorite in this series. Anyways, that line that was written on the wall is also a comeback to Tina Rosenberg, the only known survivor of these attacks, something she specifically said in an interview. We then cut to the interview itself where we see Tina saying this exact thing.
Do you think that you've recovered from this ordeal?
I'll never recover. I'll never be the same. Those people took me to hell. And once you've been in hell, you never come back.
The video then cuts to the police conducting a wellness check on her and her mother after seeing this. You're telling me that they weren't already being watched after this point? I'm pretty sure with how gruesome these murders were being committed and how often they were happening, the FBI would have been on this shit real fast. We then see Officer Nathan Cole was called to the scene, to which we end up watching through his body cam footage, which I'm just gonna let it play for itself.
Raise your hands right now! Do not move!
We finally get to see the killers, with Tina Rosenberg screaming and crying as the one who hadn't been shot raises their hands. We discovered that Tina's eyes and ears had been punctured with knitting needles, and because of this, she had no idea she was being rescued, and kept screaming for another 20 minutes. Jesus fucking Christ, new fear unlocked! The autopsy then reveals that the killer who got shot was former police officer Bill Collins? Excuse me? Apparently he was presumed dead, but the police are still unsure as to how his DNA was in the remains of his family. Bro, he's missing an arm and his fucking face. Put two and two together. We are finally then revealed to who the female killer is, with her name being Mona Lanius. Holy shit, that sounds like my name, what the fuck? And that she also confessed to over 100 murders and is awaiting trial. With the screen distorting, this video then abruptly ends. Shit, there's a lot to unpack here.
You?
By the way, Mona Lanius is literally just a pun off of Mona Lisa, with Lanius meaning butcher. I didn't want people to actually think that Urbanspook was directly referencing me. He wouldn't do that, I'm a nobody. But damn, where do I even begin with my thoughts? Firstly, I want to commend Urbanspook on the clear effort he put into this episode alone. The previous two were already steps in the right direction, but this one just takes the cake. The body cam footage is a fantastic addition, and genuinely caught me off guard at points. I will give credit where credit is due, a lot of the additions are great. The writing is honestly still not that great. From a narrative standpoint, it's very similar to how the other entries in the series are, and the gore is just more of the same stuff with added visuals and minor details as to what could be a story. And while I commend Urbanspook for not turning it down and sticking to their guns, I do think that more thought should be put into the storytelling and narrative creation, because as of right now, it is still just a gore fest, and not in the fun kind of way like how Saw is. Watch that after I say this, the next entry comes out and it's just like a courtroom drama or some shit. No violence, no bloodshed, just a straight up court scene. That'd be funny as fuck. And I'm going to be completely honest, it almost feels rushed. And what I mean by that is that this factory and workshop seem to have every answer in the book to any of the unsolved murders and mysteries we had seen in the last few entries. It kind of makes it seem like Urbanspook wants this whole series done and over with. I mean, I don't blame them if that's what they're doing, but at the same time, they locked the fuck in with this one. And if that is their intent, it's absolutely disheartening that they're throwing all this effort away. Because of the storytelling and how the narrative is, it just makes the details and all the things these killers have done seem boring. And I get it if it's coming from the perspective of this is just how real life is, they're serial killers doing horrible things, but at least add a little spice in there. That's like putting the vegetables in the crock pot with water. No spice or any kind of meat, just veggies and water. It also makes my mind go, wait, why do I care about these victims again? Who are these people? Hell, I literally had to go back into an earlier episode to even remember who Bill Collins was. Most of the characters are just so unforgettable. And it's been like this since the beginning of the series. Again, a real damn shame because I genuinely still think the series has some potential to it, despite the flaws that have poisoned it in the past. However, despite its past and present flaws, I'm not going to batch on it as much as I did in my last video, because I do think Urbanspook is improving. Sure, as I said, the narrative needs a lot of work and the gore is overall boring, but the visuals, especially within these last couple of videos, have clearly shown that they want this to work, and you know what? That's good on them. It's hard finding an audience, especially for this kind of stuff, and while it personally isn't my cup of tea, it has an audience and a community that do genuinely like it, and I have to give props to Urbanspook. In a sense, I am kinda proud of the improvements they've made and the footing that they have now. And it seems they're grasping the criticism as well, and thankfully, from what we know, isn't taking it personally. But that's all I really have to say about this. As always, tell me your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll probably respond within 2 to 7 business days. And if you like this video, don't forget to show your support, and even subscribe for more content like this. With that, thank you all for watching, and that's about it. Peace.
And do you wonder it happened so fast? I try my best not to get stuck into the past. And do you wonder it never feels right? But still I hold on